The earlier show, at its best, was fantastic. At its worst, it was two characters in a room talking about what a hero is. I felt that had been done. I'm not taking swipes. I just didn't want to hear characters grousing about their lot in life. I wanted to see them doing things.
I was a huge fan of the original Daredevil Netflix series. It's one of my favorite shows ever. Season 1 was strong, fast-paced, action-packed, emotional roller coaster. It was a great introduction to a new hero with phenomenal cast, from Daredevil himself to Kingpin and to the entire supporting crew. Season 2 was a great continuation, introducing the Punisher, Elektra, and even deeper dive into the Daredevil mythos. And while Season 2 is considered by some to be a step down from Season 1, with the hand plot being not so great, still, Season 2 was great television. And then Season 3 came out.
Who are you? I'm Daredevil.
Mentally weak, no mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quite so thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic with this logic, you can't stop it. It's been chronic since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic. Go!
It was critically acclaimed, fans loved it, and a fourth season seemed inevitable. But then Disney launched its own streaming platform, so one by one Netflix's Marvel shows were cancelled, including Daredevil. But with Matt Murdock appearing in No Way Home and She-Hulk, and Fisk appearing in Hawkeye, there was a glimmer of hope that Daredevil might come back. Lo and behold, Daredevil Born Again was announced, with the same cast of actors, but now under Disney, and with new creative team, and 18 episodes. And then came the red flags. First, the writer's strike delayed the show indefinitely. Next, there was a massive creative overhaul, and there is no definitive answer on what exactly happened, but this is what I was able to find. So the original team filmed a significant number of episodes. Then the writer's strike happened. Afterwards, Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio reportedly went to Kevin Feige and said, "This isn't working, this is not a good show." So Marvel stepped in, replaced the creative team and started reshooting. And now we have this weird situation where episodes 1 to 6 from the original team were kept and shifted to become episodes 2 to 7. A new pilot was filmed and episodes 8 and 9. And also all of Vanessa scenes were reshot to bring back the original actress. So now we have this Frankenstein of a season to go through. What is the most baffling to me is that we now have to watch the original set of episodes that was kept, that even the actors themselves said was not good. Still, episodes 1, 8 and 9 are supposed to be good, right?
Right.
We shall see, as I'm going to analyze each and every episode of Let's begin with episode 1, titled Born Again. The show opens with a few shots of the city, people walking, police sirens, and then we can see a sign of our favorite firm, Nelson, Murdock and Page. Our trio comes out, laughing and heading to Josie's bar. You remember Josie's bar, right? And Foggy says,
I like to think that we have evolved.
a pretty bold move to start your show with a meta line. Well, maybe the new team is trying to reassure us that they respect the original and will build on it. Feels a bit smug though. It's probably better to show us what you got first, and then say something like that. And then they even double down with another meta line.
These Hell's Kitchen nostalgia is running pretty thin with you guys. You ready?
Not nostalgia, reverence for the past, yet hope for the future.
And honestly, these lines are a lot more jarring when you know what happens in the next 20 minutes. But we are running ahead. Right now, it just feels like the writers are a bit too pleased with themselves. Let's see if they can earn it.
Moving on.
They are at the Josie's bar, drinking and chatting. Karen suggests that she and Matt could go somewhere else, to which Matt responds that it would violate the friends code. Not sure what he's on about, these two were never just friends, but whatever. Before this awkward conversation can go anywhere, we cut away. We meet two new characters, Cherry and Detective Kim. Cherry is retiring from the force, and when Kim asks why, Cherry says, Vigilantes like Daredevil and White Tiger are the future, making cops obsolete. Kim counters that vigilantes are basically the same as the police, some good, some bad. Which is a pretty superficial way to look at this topic. Like, didn't this world just recently get saved by a bunch of superheroes from Thanos? What about Sokovia Accords? By now you would think the whole vigilante debate would be far more nuanced. And Daredevil has been around for a decade. He is not the future, he is the present. Overall, it's a heavy-handed way to
telegraph
this season's themes, which is also why they mention White Tiger of all people instead of, Spider-Man or anyone from the Avengers. Then we jump to Foggy talking with Kirsten, another new character. She asks about his current client, Dumb Benny, and then rattles off everything about Benny's case. Info Foggy should obviously already know. It's pure clumsy exposition, conveniently setting up something that becomes important in 5 minutes. We cut back to Matt and Karen. Karen jokes that Foggy doesn't have the game to land Kirsten. I guess Marcy's straight up gone, which is a shame. I thought she was a great character. A nice spin to this archetypical ex-girlfriend who's more about the looks than the brains and caring more about money than doing the right thing. Over 3 seasons she grew into a supportive, smart character who left her shady firm, helped Foggy repeatedly, and was set to marry him. Now she's apparently the first casualty of this Disney Netflix transfer. Matt and Karen also find it very funny that Foggy refers to their company as NMMP.
He's calling the firm NMP.
No, Foggy.
Okay, at this point already I can say that the banter was way better in previous seasons.
How many fingers am I holding up?
Daredevil was never a comedy show, and I don't really remember any standout jokes.
Nelson and Murdoch. Avocados at law.
The avocados at law line is remembered because it was repeated multiple times. With that said, I never felt like any humorous interactions, any dialogue at that matter was forced. Here, this feeling is constant, and it's that typical Marvel brand of humor that lands with a shrug. Foggy receives a phone call and Matt eavesdrops, and the aspect ratio changes when Matt is using his powers, a sort of visual representation of Matt narrowing in his focus, which is kinda cool, I guess. I do think the original series already nailed portraying Matt's senses without gimmicks.
It wasn't me. Please. Please, you have to believe me. I didn't kill him.
But sure, if they want to show they have evolved, fine. Will they do it every time Matt is using his powers? No? So it's one and done just to show off, I guess. I get that doing it every time Matt uses his powers would be redundant, but doing it only once is just showing off. Anyway, the call is from Dumb Benny, who says someone's breaking in at where he's at. We see a fly being impaled, a light bulb being fixed. You guessed it, it's Bullseye.
Bullseye.
Would be nice to know how he got out and who fixed him his spine, but I don't think we ever will. Next, Foggy explains that he hid Benny in his apartment to protect him, and he didn't tell Matt about this because he didn't want to give Matt an excuse to dress as Daredevil, which is stupid on so many levels. First of all, how did Foggy even manage to hide this information from Matt? They work together. Benny is their client, and Matt has super hearing. Foggy can't even lie about this because Matt would know. It's borderline impossible for this information not to be known to Matt. And if he was trying to hide it, why reveal it now? He knows how Matt's abilities work, and he would overhear the call. And why did he even hide it from Matt to begin with? Matt has been active for years now. You would think two best friends who are working together would figure this issue out by now. By this point, Foggy should have a strong stance regarding Daredevil. Either he's okay with it, or he's not. And if he's not, he would not work with Matt. Also, didn't we just see the three of them happily agreeing that the city finds ways to protect itself, which is clearly referring to Daredevil? This entire scene makes no sense.
He's at my apartment. It's just down the street.
Why even say that? Don't Matt and Karen already know where Foggy lives? It's clunky dialogue written for the audience's benefit. A cleaner approach would be Foggy saying something like, "He's close, just down the street." Then Matt or Karen could ask where exactly, and Foggy could admit, like, "Yeah, he's at my place." Which could even annoy Matt, because Foggy is putting himself in danger. Same plot point, way less awkward. We get our first shot of Daredevil, and it's CGI. I don't like it. It looks exactly like what it is. Artificial. The weight is off, the movement is off. One of the best things about the original series was how grounded it felt. They went out of their way to use practical effects and stunt work to show Daredevil traversing the city in ways that look believable. I get the desire to lean into more comic accurate, acrobatic movement, and I've seen comments from the original team saying they would have used CGI if they would had the budget. In a weird way, maybe we should be grateful they didn't, but ultimately the issue isn't the use of CGI itself, it's the execution. This particular shot could have easily been done practically, and would have looked far better. The attack on Benny is just a bait for Bullseye to find Foggy, who is his real target. Matt pieces this together a little too late, and Foggy gets shot in the chest. Bullseye is walking towards Karen and he throws a CG smoke grenade. Again, not a good CG, a very obvious one. And just like with every Marvel content nowadays, it makes you wonder why they didn't do it in practice. I understand doing the smoke in CG, although you can do some kind of prop with that as well, but by God, throw in the actual grenade. Bullseye greets Karen with a callback from his attack on the bulletin from season 3, which is nice, I guess. Daredevil swoops in and tackles Dex, and they begin to fight. This fight is this show's rendition of famous Daredevil one-shot fight scenes. Each season has such a fight, and this is the latest entry as we were promised not to be disappointed. To be fair, there are some good ideas here. The fight plays out in layers. In the background, civilians scramble to evacuate. Meanwhile, we hear Foggy's dying heartbeat echo through the chaos, punctuated by Karen's desperate attempts to save him. That's the basic premise of the fight. But again, the execution is another story. To start off, most of the fight is CG, and it's not good CG. You can spot it from the mile away. The body language is way off. It honestly looks like a fan-made YouTube video, not a flagship Marvel production. The choreography is also questionable. Like, why does Bullseye throw multiple smoke grenades? He doesn't know Daredevil is blind, and it won't work on him, but still. Bullseye is primarily a long-range fighter. Wouldn't the smoke be a disadvantage to him first and foremost? Or, for example, look at this scene. People close the curtain to hide and we see Daredevil and Bullseye fighting on the other side. Matt knows there are people on that side, he can sense them. And yet he decides to throw Bullseye at the curtain, thus endangering all of them. In the original series, each one-shot fight told the story through its composition and choreography. Sure, you could nitpick the occasional fake-looking punch, but the atmosphere, direction, and emotional stakes made it compelling. Here, it's just chaotic nonsense, a mindless slope. The scene climaxes with Foggy dying, driving Matt to push Bullseye off the rooftop. One of the pivotal themes of the original show is Matt's struggle with killing. Throughout all 3 seasons, he's put into position where his beliefs are challenged. In season 1, Matt thinks there is no way of stopping Kingpin unless he kills him. He's having multiple conversations with Father Lantom on whether or not he should kill. In season 2, that is the main reason behind the conflict between Daredevil and the Punisher. And in season 3, Matt again thinks he might have to kill Kingpin. The combination of season 3 and like one of the most famous scenes of the whole show is Daredevil beating Kingpin but stopping himself from killing him, as Matt will not be broken by Fisk.
Come on! Kill me! No! God knows I want you, but you don't get to destroy who I am. You will go back to prison, and you will live the rest of your miserable life in a cage, knowing you'll never have Vanessa. That this city rejected you. It beat you. I beat you!
And here we are, season 4. A whole new team is making it, and less than 20 minutes in, Matt attempts to kill Bullseye. This doesn't feel earned. It was not your progress to take. Okay, if you want Matt to reach a breaking point, it's logical that you would do that via hurting his friends. But not like this. This is anticlimactic, tied to a random case we know nothing about, with Bullseye suddenly showing up to shoot Foggy out of nowhere. There is no build-up, no emotional journey, just shock value. In Matt's eyes, taken alive would damn him forever. That's a massive moment. It should be the culmination of a season-long arc, not something tossed out casually in the opening episode. Here it's hollow, robbed of all meaning, and reduced to a cheap plot twist. Dex also somehow survives. No clue how that's possible, but fine. His survival doesn't diminish the fact that Matt still attempted to kill him. Even if it failed, Matt chose to cross that line. And let me be clear, this is not a story that you can't tell. You can absolutely tackle these themes and push Matt over the edge. It is possible, but you have to earn it, build it up through the whole season, not just snatch all the things we care about at the beginning. Well, at the very least, let's see how this season handles the repercussions. Then, out of nowhere, Cherry discovers Matt is Daredevil. Who the fuck even is Cherry? A bizarre choice of scene placement. Foggy just died. Nobody cares about this Cherry guy, yet suddenly he's on the big secret. Sure. So far, the only positive bit I could give this scene is the acting. The actors' performances are stellar. Karen acts her heart out, like when Dex goes over the roof. She is visibly terrified to turn around, not knowing if it was Matt who fell. Matt and Dex are excellent as always. In fact, Matt almost got me to care about this scene purely through his delivery. Our beloved characters are in top form. I hope we will see more of them in the next episodes. No, we fucking don't. We get the new opening credits, with new visuals and new rendition of the Daredevil theme. The sequence is heavy-handed. The law, the church, the law firm all crumble. Then Daredevil rises, born again. The symbolism isn't exactly subtle. A small spoiler, but none of this is shown in the actual show. Like, we don't see Matt struggle with his religion, or struggle with the law similar to season 3. There are like individual cases where the law is shown not to be quote-unquote perfect, I guess, but nothing close to the whole system collapsing. The show doesn't show us any of that. It doesn't tackle these themes in any meaningful way, so this whole intro sort of serves as a demonstration to what Matt goes through, but this is all we get. But I'm getting ahead of myself again. On a personal note, I don't like this opening. I'm a huge fan of the previous opening credits from first 3 seasons. I think it's amazing. A subtle yet memorable theme. Visuals that don't show too much, but are memorizing. The intro set the tone for the whole show, and it wasn't arcane wannabe. After the title card, we cut to Matt drinking coffee and listening to Into My Arms by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. He's in a new apartment. It's bland, generic, utterly forgettable, and not even in Hell's Kitchen. It's a shame. His previous place was visually striking, rich with atmosphere, and full of character. It wasn't just a backdrop, it was a narrative tool. The ever-present neon lights didn't bother Matt. He's blind after all. The apartment's unique aesthetic added depth, reinforcing themes and offering memorable visual storytelling. Now it's been replaced by a shallow, uninspiring setting with no personality. In many ways, it mirrors the direction of the show itself. Style and substance traded for something bland and far less compelling. Matt suits up and is ready to leave when the camera flies over a table and we see a leaflet to Foggy's funeral, which shows that even a year later it's still on his mind. Would have been nice not to skip a whole year, but it is what it is. We then jump to Wilson Fisk having a breakfast. Eggs, as usual. Wilson picks up his suit and there is an abrupt cut to the famous picture Ivan the Terrible and his son Ivan. I can't really describe how abrupt
It is.
It's like a screamer.
You crossed 39th, you paid toll.
We see 5 mafia families having an argument, but Vanessa settles it, so she's now handling business. The meeting ends abruptly when Wilson shows up to talk to Vanessa. The dialogue between them is a very shallow exposition dump, telling us that Fisk was hurt and explaining Fisk's current motivation, which brings us to the core premise of this season. Fisk wants to be mayor. This is probably a good point to pause and untangle the messy timeline, because any viewer who only watched the original Daredevil series and didn't see the Echo or Hawkeye is likely confused. How and when did Fisk get out of prison? What did Matt do with it? What is their status now? Let's wind back a couple of years. Daredevil Season 3 takes place in 2017. According to the showrunners, Born Again takes place 5 years after Season 3. However, Hawkeye takes place in December 2025. Born Again is after Hawkeye, which means it's at least 2026-2027. Multiple sources I could find also confirm that. So, not 5, but 10 years have passed. It seems during most of these years, Fisk was out and regaining power, as demonstrated in Hawkeye. But wait, Fisk made a promise that he will stay in prison and will not try to get out to keep Vanessa safe. So, what happened? Did Wilson stop caring about Vanessa? Doesn't seem so. There was also the snap, so maybe he or Matt or both got snapped. Well, unfortunately, in the Echo, we see both Matt and Fisk. And although it's not exactly clear when those events happen, it's likely they take place during the snap. So both of them didn't get snapped. Kingpin was out for many years, thus breaking a promise he gave to Matt in Season 3. What did Matt do? Nothing. In Season 3, Matt had a breakdown after learning Fisk was out. He was so devastated that he stopped believing in the justice system. Karen and Foggy were equally desperate to stop him. But now we are supposed to believe Fisk was out for years, reclaiming power, and they all just let it slide. Fisk then gets shot in the head, somehow survives, and now wants to run for mayor. It's a giant narrative leap. The show will have to do a lot of heavy lifting to justify how we got from point A to point B. Yet already Fisk is casually saying he's gathered enough signatures to get on the ballot, so it's all very messy. Then we get the first of many sort of short interviews with citizens of New York, conducted by Bibi Urich, the niece of Ben Urich, who you might remember from Season 1. These interviews are spread out through the whole season, usually taking like 30 seconds. In theory, these interviews are a good narrative device, offering a street-level view of the city, people's reaction, some world building, but in practice it's underwhelming. Most interviews are clunky exposition, cartoonish caricatures of Fisk supporters or filler with no real substance. A good concept, yes, but choked by weak writing. The very first one has the reporter ask if people feel safe, and someone says it's more dangerous without Daredevil around. That's it. Moving on, Matt enters his new workplace, the law firm of Murdoch and McDuffie. Kirsten McDuffie is a new character who we saw in the opening, which is definitely what I wanted to see from the new Daredevil show. Not Nelson and Murdoch working together, but McDuffie. Thanks for evolving, Born Again. I wouldn't count this as a criticism of the show, at least not yet. I just find the direction baffling, especially when you sounded so confident at the beginning. Kirsten asks if Matt's okay delivering a statement at Dex's sentencing. He insists he is. Matt also mentions he hasn't heard from Karen, and we immediately cut to the courtroom. Matt gives his statement, saying justice won't truly be served today because it won't bring Foggy back. He stutters for a moment as he hears Karen enter the courtroom. Matt continues and says that Dex is a self-styled assassin with a grudge out to murder his perceived enemies, which is a weird thing to say. Dex didn't have any grudge against Foggy. They barely interacted. Dex and Matt also never met. Daredevil obviously met Dex, but not Matt Murdock. The only person that interacted with Dex was Karen, and that was on the request of Fisk. And after Season 3, the only person Dex should hate is Fisk. Well, and maybe Daredevil just on the count of him always interfering. So Matt has no real reason to believe that the kill was anything personal. And considering that we saw time and time again Matt and Karen being very smart about their cases, they always conduct an internal investigation. Thus, Matt would at least try to find out the real reason Dex killed Foggy, but he just makes an assumption that it was due to some personal vendetta. It doesn't add up. Later we find out the real reason why Dex killed Foggy, which again had nothing personal. Anyhow, Dex is sentenced for life. We then cut to Matt and Karen sitting in the courtroom. Karen says she thought about sleeping out but decided to come. Matt asks Karen how she's doing, and Karen says that San Francisco is nice. Matt wants to have a proper conversation with Karen, but she declines. Matt practically begs her for a conversation, but Karen still says no. She says her friend died too. She only came for Foggy. She's sorry that it ended that way, but she's happy that Matt is doing well. To which Matt chuckles. Then Karen asks what about Daredevil, to which Matt basically says that Daredevil is no more.
I'm not him anymore.
Karen then gives Matt the horn that he lost during the fight with Bullseye and leaves. A lot of really disappointing stuff in this conversation. So Karen left Matt. She even moved into another city. A bizarre decision, especially if you remember Karen's conversation with Sister Maggie in season 3.
When someone in need tries to push you away, you have to find the strength to hold on tighter.
All the grief, her decision to leave, the aftermath of losing Foggy, none of it is shown. It's all off-screen. It's completely out of character for Karen to act this way. It is possible to get her character to this point, but you, again, need to do a lot of work. A lot. But I guess they did. We just, well, didn't see it. Instead, the show decides that a season about a bunch of new characters is a lot more interesting. Up next, Matt is making dinner when he hears on TV that Fisk is running for mayor of New York on an anti-vigilante platform. I'll save Fisk's arc for later, once we hit the crucial moment. For now, we meet the new Fisk team. Shayla, his campaign director, and Buck Cashman, who is, for all intents and purposes, a replacement for Wesley, but a very lame one. Wesley was awesome, and his dynamic with Fisk was unique. This show tries so hard to replicate. They argue whether or not they should adjust their campaign, basically. And another character intervenes. Daniel Blake.
Just want to say that I am so stoked to put you over the top.
Who says that everyone's talking about Fisk, even the BB report. Now, who the fuck is BB report? I'll be clear right off the gate. I hate this character. Anyway, this scene is here to justify how Fisk can win the election, as Fisk asks why would Daniel vote for him, to which Daniel replies,
I mean, Mayor Fisk. That's the coolest fucking thing on the planet.
What in heaven's name are you talking about?
Matt and Kirsten have a quick scene where she reminds him he has a meeting with a new client, Heather Glenn. That's it. That's the scene. Matt is walking down the street and hears a large number of people speaking positively about Fisk, as if they don't know all the things he did. He's a murderer, for God's sake. But never mind. Matt meets Dr. Glenn, the new client. When Matt asks her what did she hire an attorney for, she asks Matt why was he looking for a therapist. That's when they realize Kirsten set them up on a date. It works and they have a date. But I don't think they really have any chemistry and it feels so forced. The only purpose of this scene and the one before it is just to get to the point where these two are a thing. That's it. And they don't work as a thing. Like at all. The CGI pigeons. The fuck? You could not film two pigeons on the street of New York, so you had to CGI them? Matt returns to the office to meet with Cherry, who he describes as his investigator. Cherry and Kirsten are obviously replacements for Foggy and Karen. We are missing out on so much because they decided to replace the original characters with no good reasons. Cherry was digging into Fisk and he says that half the cops hate his guts, and the other half would dive off the Chrysler building for him. That's bullshit. There is no reason anyone on the force would be pro-Fisk. They should hate him. In season 3, Foggy ran a campaign for DA and he ran on a single issue, putting away Fisk. And that is the only thing that gave him support from the force. And somehow Fisk is clean. Vanessa has now made their business bulletproof, despite managing 5 mafia families, something Fisk himself never accomplished. Off-screen magic fixes everything, apparently. Then Matt says if Fisk becomes mayor, maybe the city will get the mayor it deserves, and tells Cherry to stop digging. This is borderline character assassination. The Matt Murdock we know wouldn't say that. We get another short BB report. A lady and a guy are asked would they vote for Fisk. The lady says that he's a psycho and a criminal. No way she would vote for him. And the man says that they are all the same. Politicians and criminals. That's the scene.
That's it?
That's it?
Next we get a debate between Fisk and another candidate, and the point of this scene is basically to show us that Fisk crushes his opponent. The following morning Matt meets Fisk on the street, and it's so dramatic, slow-mo, characters walking towards the camera, the soundtrack. Which ends up getting the exact opposite reaction it was going for. I think this is the first time I was not excited for these two to meet, because of how over the top this scene is. They sit down in a diner for the longest conversation of the episode, and it's about 5 minutes long, which is a major disappointment. Like, the longest conversation in the show is 5 minutes? Come on. The show can't focus on one scene. It can't let the scene breathe. So far, the writers failed to write at least one interesting conversation. And this scene is very shallow despite being the longest in the episode. The original show excelled at a dialogue-driven tension. Here, we get surface-level threats, but let's get through it. Matt remarks that Fisk has lost weight and gained muscle. Fisk asks Matt if he has children and reminisces how he tried to mentor someone, that someone being Echo. Echo sucks and its existence contradicts the original series, and I couldn't care less for it. Matt asks Fisk, didn't that mentorship ended up with Fisk getting shot in the face? And they laugh. Both also mention that they don't go to Hell's Kitchen anymore, which is crazy. A very important part of their characters is that they love Hell's Kitchen specifically. Fisk asks if Matt's keeping tabs on him. Matt says no. His Daredevil days are over. Fisk also claims to be clean and denies involvement in Foggy's death. It's absurd that Matt never properly investigated Foggy's murder. He has no idea why Foggy died, and it's been a year. Obviously, he should know it wasn't Fisk, and Fisk hates Bullseye and vice versa. And the fact that they are having this conversation only now is ridiculous. Fisk asks why Matt stopped being a vigilante, to which Matt replies that his best friend was killed. The line was crossed, and he felt that despite all the good that he was doing, he was causing damage. This logic is incredibly flawed, but you could probably argue that Matt himself believes it. But defenders already tackled the story. There, Matt already tried not to be Daredevil, but he couldn't resist hearing all of the people needing help. So he put the mask back on. But here, a year has passed, and I guess Matt is fine now, with hearing other people suffering and not reacting to it. Interesting character development. It's a shame it all happened off-screen, and now we have a completely new person. Anyhow, Matt says that he can believe that Fisk is a new man, but he also believes in retribution, and if Fisk steps out of line, Matt will be there. To which Fisk makes a counter threat and says that once he becomes mayor, vigilantism will be no more. And like, how you will be there, Matt? You said you're not keeping tabs on him. How? How will you know that he steps out of line? When he kills somebody on TV? What? Enough in conversation with two of the best characters in the show. This is what we get. Matt has a date with Heather. They are walking and having some boring chat until Matt hears on the news that Fisk has won. This is the right time when we can tackle all the issues I have with this plotline. So Fisk is elected mayor in one episode. Nah, this is bullshit on so many levels. Compared to season 3 when Fisk got out, the through the whole season he was regaining his power. Slowly, by tricking FBI, he was getting back on top. And even when he gained full control, he still had the public turned against him, and we saw him manipulating the public as well, with his speeches and how he was a victim.
The people in power decided to tear me down. To tear me down with false allegations.
Accusations!
These are not accusations, this is
false accusations.
But here, he just becomes mayor. How? Because New York thought it would be funny? We didn't even get an explanation on how Fisk is out of prison, contrary to season 3, which not only had an explanation but a great one. That was the whole point of that season. There is like a half line about Fisk overturning his conviction. How is it even possible? Even in the 3rd season, everyone knew he was evil. FBI just tried getting info from him. No one believed he was innocent. But at this point, it should be obvious what Wilson Fisk is. It's common knowledge. Everyone knows he manipulated Dax and turned him into a psycho. So Fisk, who basically created his own fake vigilante to kill multiple people, including FBI agents and a priest, this Fisk is now running an anti-vigilante campaign. On top of that, he's running this campaign in a universe where a bunch of vigilantes just saved the world from an evil purple monster. The Sokovia Accords were appealed just a couple of years ago exactly because everyone agreed that they treated vigilantism incorrectly. How is anyone taking him seriously? And he's elected on the basis of this one sole issue of vigilantism that should not even exist in this universe by now. This plot can happen. But you have to, again, work really hard, both on Fisk's character and on the universe as a whole to convincingly tell such a story. Fisk is later congratulated by his team. He sees Vanessa leaving and meets her on a rooftop, and Fisk says he knows about Adam. Vanessa asks him not to kill Adam. Fisk says he's not that man anymore. Why did you write Fisk into a cock? He's not Kingpin anymore, he's a cockpin. This is an assassination for both Vanessa and Kingpin. Well, for Fisk, I guess Echo cured him of his childhood trauma, which turned him into Cockpin. Fisk gives his inaugural speech while Matt and Heather kiss. The final shot is Fisk bathed in white, Matt in red. Did you get it? Okay. Would be nice if we could get visual shots through the whole episode instead of it looking like boring typical Marvel show, but we have 15 seconds of symbolic lights for TikTok and Twitter. And that's it! Episode 1. A major letdown. The show starts arrogantly but delivers nothing of substance. Half the cast is gone, Maggie and Marcy likely for good, Foggy is dead and replaced by Kirsten, Karen's character is destroyed and replaced by some random guy. Keep in mind that we will not see Karen anymore until like episode 7, and we got only one conversation between them. It's ridiculous. Fisk becomes a joke. Vanessa cheats. And Matt is unrecognizable. The original show is a lot of characters talking to each other, and the dialogue in the original show was great. Some of the most memorable moments from the show are just characters talking. Like, this is what the Punisher part of the show was praised for, and even before the show released, there were these weird statements from the showrunners. And indeed, we can see the direction the show took. Long conversations are boring and hard to write. Instead, we have many scenes which are just 30-40 seconds exposition dumps. And this is supposed to be one of the quote-unquote good episodes. The bar now is set incredibly low. But up next, we have episode 2.